हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको जॉन डन के शॉर्ट आंसर के बारे में बताएंगे। व्हाट काइंड ऑफ फिलॉसफी अफेक्टेड डन इन द कंपोजिशन ऑफ हिज पोइट्री। आंसर है डन वाज अफेक्टेड बाय फिलॉसफी, रिलीजन एंड थियोलॉजी। हिज माइंड वाज मोल्डेड नॉट ओनली बाय हिज पर्सनल लाइफ but by the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, mysticism, the macabre, and the contemporary scientific and rational outlook. Medievalism had a great sway on Donne. Metaphysics, cosmology, natural science, medicine, alchemy appears in his poems. There were in Middle Age two kinds of liberal arts: twinbian, the lover comprising grammar, logic, and rhetoric, and quadrivium, the higher comprising arithmetic, astronomy, geometry, and music. The trivium and the quadrivium were the basis of medieval scholarship. Donne was familiar with scholastic philosophy and theology. The revolt in his poetry is due to his schoolman's logic. The schoolmen derived their logic and metaphysics from Aristotle. Scholastic philosophy and theology, cosmology, and psychology color the images of his poem. In Good Friday 1693, writing westward, Donne uses the scholastic doctrine of the spheres, each governed by an intelligence or angle. The canonization, a valediction, the extis, a valediction of my name in the window, also contain medieval elements. Next question is, write a short note on the style of metaphysical poetry. Answer. The word metaphysical refers to style rather than to subject matter. Metaphysical poetry is the expression of a new attitude of the mind. It is a blend of thought and experience. The style of metaphysical poetry is passionately urban, harsh, hard-surfaced, and granite. It is packed with affections and conceits. The metaphysical poets use contemporary language. The so-called poetic words are avoided. Their rhythm is as intricate as their thoughts. It is stimulant, not a narcotic to the intellect. Elizabethan rhythms were usually derived from classical heritage, or they met the requirement of music. The rhythm of Donne and his followers emerge from meaning. These poets make passionate experiences out of their sensation and express them in vivid and moving imagery clothed in rich and varied harmony. Their poetry shows wit, conceit, euphuism, intellectualism, realism, dramatic element, new language and rhythms, and love of science and philosophy. It appeals to the coterie. It has obscurity, oddity, subtlety, and comprehensiveness. Its intellectual and analytical approach is unconventional. Next question is, write a short note on Donne's poetry as a metaphysical poetry. Answer. Dryden remarks, Donne affected metaphysical not only in his satire but in his amorous verse. If we use metaphysical as a term to define a specific style, not a philosophy, Donne is certainly the leader of the metaphysical school of poets. When Dryden, Johnson, or Dodden called Donne a metaphysical poet, they referred to the style of Donne. Donne's poetry is metaphysical because of his individualism, his quest for learning, and his ransacking medieval theology and scholasticism, he felt it was not enough for a man to have the knowledge of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, for if you know as much as Socrates, you know nothing. And St. Paul found that to be all knowledge is no Christ. There is always an antithesis in done between natural and divine knowledge. The former is annexed, while the latter is clear. Donne's preoccupations with morality and death fills his poetry with a Macbeth elements. Thus, he derived inspiration from the new philosophy and scholasticism. He points out the first anniversary and new philosophy calls all in doubt. The element of fire is quite put out. The sun is lost and the earth, and no man's wit can well direct him where to look for it. Next question, write a short note on metaphysical conceit and John Donne. Answer. Donne is a metaphysical poet because of his inherent sensibility, the ambivalent nature of his experiences, and his passionate apprehension of thoughts. Dryden and Johnson apply the term metaphysical to Donne's imagery. Donne introduced a highly intellectual imagery into his poems to illustrate feelings. Donne did it with a deliberate audacity, bringing opposed objects and powering their likeness in a surprising way. The conceit are to illustrate, amplify, and communicate the predominant feeling of the poem, and the justness of Donne's conceit is related to his sensibility and to the use of which he put them. The justness is determined by the tone, atmosphere, and form of his poems. The fantastic conceit is in accord with the content of the poem. Donne broke away with the assagy and the familiar and with the mythological imagery of the Elizabethans. He rejected the Greek and Latin poetic forms and preferred directness and homeliness of expression. His images came from his own interest so that he could illustrate one fact of his experiences by another. Next question is, what are the common qualities of the poetry of Donne? Answer. Johnson is hard upon Donne. Medieval mysticism and medieval metaphysicism are aligned to his genius. It is no wonder then that he fails to make anything of Donne's metaphysical wit. He has his own idea of wit. It is even different from what Pope's thought of wit, that which has been often thought but was never before so well expressed. According to Johnson, Pope seems to emphasize happiness of language rather than strength of language. He considers that wit should be natural and new, that which thought not obvious is upon its first production acknowledged to be just. We may note here the qualities of Donne's poetry as summed up by T.S. Eliot. First, elaboration of a figure to the farthest stage to which ingenuity can carry it. Rapid association of thought, telescoping of images, and unit by the poet's mind. Language as a rule is simple and pure, but the structure of sentences is far from simple. Fidelity to thought and feeling is the strong element. Question 6. Write a short note on Donne as a poet of love. John Donne was a frequent visitor of ladies. He developed love affairs and friendship with a number of women we can guess about, and more whom he courted in secret while he lived in her uncle's house as his secretary, and with whom he eloped. Other sources of inspirations of his love poems were Lucy Bedford, Magdalen Herbert, Elizabeth Hottingham, and others. His love, as expressed in his poetry, therefore, was based not on conventions but on his own experiences. Donne, as a poet of love, is closer to the Middle Age. Donne's love poetry is complex. His unabashed delight in describing sensual pleasure, he has passion with which he had courted his profane mistress, his love charge from the lustful to the cynical, because he sought to find heaven in conjugal bliss. However, Donne's songs are the expression in unconventional witty language of all the moods of a lover. When by the scorn, O murderess, I am dead, and that you thin rent thee free from all solicitations from me, then shall my ghost come to thy bed. Next question. Write a short note on the complex love poetry of Donne. Answer. Donne's love poetry is complex. His unabashed delight in describing sensual pleasure, has a passion with which he had courted his profane mistress. In his later years, the spirit demanded satisfaction. His poems, however, do not express simple delight in the desires and satisfaction of the sense or of the spirit. Donne did not sing for joy. This makes him out from his contemporaries. Coleridge says that Donne would twist iron pokers into true love knots, coming hard words or not found in a polyglot. This love changed from the lustful to the cynical because he sought to find heaven in conjugal bliss. Croft regards Donne as an egregious, offensive coxcomb. Grierson, Leesman, and Cavensden regards Donne's poetry as an outburst of his poetic genius, unconnected with the vicissitudes of his life. Donne confused, I did best when I had least truth from my subject. Next question है, to what extent was Donne affected by Petrarch in the presentation of the love poems? Answer. In writing love poems addressed to his beloved, Donne followed the Petrarchian tradition to a certain extent. Only the scholastic philosopher of the 16th century found many metaphysical problems in the poetry of Dante and Petrarch. Love is the love of soul, and the pursuit and exhortation of the beloved is a quest for ultimate truth. Petrarch gives more prominence to earthly amorous passion and offered a detailed description of the beloved amatory parts and anatomized his own passion. The lady love is a symbol of the idea of highest perfection. Love becomes a dedication and devotion, unchanging and unflagging. This tradition was divorced from the personal experiences of the poet. Donne revealed against Petrarchianism more than against Petrarch. Donne adopted two characteristics of Petrarch, one the use of conceit and the other a dramatic form. Donne wholly reoriented these with his own fertile originality and witty inventions. He found these in Petrarch. Objective type question. Question: When was John Donne born? Answer: 1572. Question: The father of Donne was? Answer: an iron manager. Question third: The mother of Donne was a grand niece of? Answer: Sir Thomas More. Question: Donne lost his father at the age of? Answer: 5. Donne's mother was a? Answer: Roman Catholic. Question: Donne is the only English poet of the first rank who is also a great orator who commends? Answer: Sir Grierson. Question: Hot-blooded and passionate Donne was with a passion in which body and soul are sometimes inextricably blended. Who comments? Answer: Sir Grierson. Question: His poetry has nothing to say of the pleasure of eating and drinking like that of his friend Ben Jonson. Who comments? Answer: Sir Grierson. Question: Donne passed away in? Answer: 1633. Question: Who comments? Donne had written all his best pieces year as he was 25 years. Answer: Ben Jonson. Question: Donne entered Hart Hall, Oxford at the? Answer: age of 11. Question: Donne entered Lincoln's Inn in? Answer: 1592. John Donne chronology: 1572, born in London in January or February. 1576, death of his father, a rich city merchant. 1584, matriculated Hart Hall, Oxford University. 1587, left Oxford and joined Cambridge. 1590, removed to London. 1592, on 6 May, entered Lincoln's Inn. 1593, inherited a fortune, rejected Catholicism in favor of Anglican Church and wrote first 3 satires. 1594 to 96, foreign travel. 1595, joined foreign service under the Earl of Essex and was with the expedition against Cadiz. 1597, with the Arrows expedition, wrote many of his lyrics and songs. 1598, secretary of Sir Thomas Egerton and residence with his master. 1602, fell in love with Sir Egerton's niece Anne More. 1601, secretly married to Anne More. 1602, dismissal in consequence, imprisoned for a brief period in the Fleet by Sir George More. In April, marriage ratified. 1602 to 1604, residence with Sir Francis Bowley, Mrs. Donne's cousins, living in financially straitened circumstances. 1605 to 09, residence at Mitcham. 1605 to 07, employed by Thomas Morton, helped Morton in his controversies with the Catholic. Morton offered him a preferment in the church, but Donne did not think he was fit for the clerical life. 1607 to 12, period of mental conflict. Some of the holy sonnet written, wife's health broken. 1610, pseudo martyr published in January. In April, obtained the degree of Hom. M.A. Oxford. 1610 to 11, reconciliation with father-in-law who made him a generous allowance. Verse epistle addressed to the Countess of Bedford, residence with Sir Robert Drury of Hosted, death of Drury's only daughter. 1611, an anatomy of the world, first anniversary published. 1612, with Sir Drury visit to the continent. When he left England, his wife was expected expecting the eighth child, wrote song Sweetest Love I Do Not Go as parting song. The delivery of a stillborn child, another period of painful spiritual crisis. 1615. On January 23, ordained as priest in the Anglican Church. In April, Doctor of Divinity, Cambridge, conferred. On April 30, delivered the first surviving sermon. 1617. On March 24, first sermon preached at Paul's Cross. On August 15, death of his wife Anne Dunn, leaving behind 7 young children in his charge. 1619. Accompanied Lord Doncaster as his chaplain to Germany and returned in 1620. 1621. Dean of St. Paul's on November 19. 1623. Dangerous attack of illness. 1624. Appointed to Vicarage of St. Dunstan in the West. 1625. Preached before King Charles I. Friendship with Walton maturing. 1630. Complete breakdown of health. 1631. On February 12, the latest and the most famous sermon entitled That's Dwell, published. On March 31st, death of Dunn in London. Thanks, best of luck.